You're like a circle that floats around me, keeping me safe and sound. And when I fall, you tied a rope to me. You're blessing me every day. I was down with an illusion, like a sparrow with broken wings. But now I shine with your reflection on me. I'm getting back up on my feet. That you showed up was written.
Well, welcome to the Fierce Entrepreneur Summit. We're so glad you're here with us tonight. I am Kim White. I am the host, and I'm here with the beautiful Yvonne Marchese, who is helping me cause trouble tonight. Can we say that, Yvonne?
Oh, we're causing some good trouble tonight. Absolutely.
And true to form, behind this scene entrepreneur life theme of the night, my puppy is having a fit because my husband just walked in. So true to form, we'll just kick off with that behind the scenes stuff, Yvonne.
I'll share a little behind the scenes action. My husband has been kicked out of this room, which is our living room, and he plays guitar. So about 5 minutes before we went live, I said, "You need to go get your guitar now if you're going to get it." And he's like, "Why? I'm unobtrusive." And I'm like, "No, because when you walk into the room, I want to watch what you're doing."
It's not always about them. It might be about us and what we're capable of paying attention to.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
Well, we want to kick this night off with just a big thank you for joining us. A big thank you for being here. This event is very important to all of us. And we want to just kind of take a second to tell you why, because there are a lot of summits, there are a lot of conferences, there are a lot of things you could do with your night tonight, with your time if you're watching the replay. But we're here to be very open and transparent about a lot of things because we didn't necessarily have that represented to us when we started our businesses. And I think behind the scenes is important for someone to be able to see what it really looks like, Yvonne, because it can look very different than what you have in your head.
Absolutely, right? And I think so often you look at the hard candy shell of what somebody has achieved. You know, if you're looking at somebody's website, you're seeing all the curated things that they put there. If you're looking at their social media, same thing. Everything has been planned and put there to show you what they want you to see. And so we're inviting you behind the scenes to see what we really go through and what the challenges are. And that's one of the things that I love about this group is that we're very transparent about all that.
We make a lot of confessions around here. Well, let's kick it off by doing some intros, Yvonne. We want to get into how amazing these humans are. And I'm going to start with the human that is next to me, who is the one that is agreed to be the cohort in crime tonight while we MC this amazing summit together. So thank you, first off, Yvonne, for doing that. And I'm going to play your intro first. If I can find it, right? Yvonne Marchese is the president of the Age Agitators Club, creator of the Aging Playfully Play Shop, podcast host, published author, branding photographer, summit leader, and GME roving reporter. An all-around, rock star.
Thank you. I don't even know if you have an intro, Kim, but I'm just going to say that Kim is the fierce leader of My Sexy Business. And I can 100% guarantee you she does not have her own intro. So I am going to introduce Kim as our fearless leader. I'm going rogue, Kim. I'm going rogue.
I should not have given her permission, y'all. Let me say that. You are funny.
You make this happen. I mean, it's incredible. And you are somebody who's taught me to show up as I am for my business, and that it is possible to have a business that that suits my life and that I don't have to be a slave to it. So I'm just going to use that as my intro for you.
Oh, thank you. That's like the biggest compliment I can get. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, let's introduce our hosts for the summit tonight. And we'll just put this out there. They're going to come up after we play their intros, and they're going to wait till everyone's on stage. And then Yvonne and I are going to scurry off to the green room where we are plotting about the halftime show. So let's just be clear about what we're doing. Our first intro tonight is for the lovely Jill Olish, who is one of the hosts for the summit tonight. Jill Olish is the ambassador of moms, founder and leader of the Mama Outspoken Village, published author, podcast host, executive team leader of My Sexy Business, host of the Vision Board Party, associate producer, and GME roving reporter. And boom, there she is.
And boom,
Like
there she
magic.
is. And I always say I want to be Jill Olish when I grow up. Amazing.
I love it. Well, let's introduce her cohort in crime tonight, hosting this summit. That is the icon herself, Kat Corchado. Kat Corchado is a proud military veteran, health and wellness professional, founder of Small Space Pilates, movement specialist for injury, illness, and cancer recovery, podcast host, published author, and GME roving reporter. And boom, there she is. Okay, now the next one we're going to introduce is the one that put the entire event together. Let's just be honest. We need someone to take care of all of us, and we call it cat herding around here. He is the cat herding extraordinaire. So next we're going to introduce the interview king himself, Adam Rothenberg. Adam Rothenberg is the interview king, media personality, creator of the Call Me Adam entertainment platform, published author, podcast host, red carpet correspondent, associate producer, and GME roving reporter. And there he is. I love this magical platform. So, Yvonne, who is next? Because I can't see past there. Who is our next introduction?
Oh, our next introduction is Denise Millay, the findability queen.
Denise Millay is the findability queen, search marketing consultant, technology simplifier, host of the virtual scavenger hunt, published author, summit leader, and GME roving reporter. And like magic again. Love this magical stuff. All right. Who's next, Yvonne?
Shall we introduce Donna Bender, the incomparable Donna Bender?
Infamous. Donna Bender is a master givologist, branding product strategist, corporate marketing trainer, published author, host of The Big Show and Tell, summit leader, and GME roving reporter. I love it. So, Yvonne and I are going to pull on some shenanigans in the green room. We're handing it over to Kat and Jill. We'll see you all in a little while.
Thanks, Kim and Yvonne. Ooh, Kat, you are so cute on mute, ma'am.
Right? After I just talked about this with Dawn and everybody else. Note one, don't be on mute. What I was trying to say is welcome to the Fierce Entrepreneur Summit. We are thrilled to have you join us on this exciting journey into the heart of entrepreneurship. Our theme for tonight is behind the scenes of Entrepreneurland. Over the course of this event, we're going to be peeling back the curtain to reveal the grit, determination, and resilience that truly defines entrepreneurship. We'll hear from industry leaders, all of these beautiful people on the stage who've navigated the challenging terrain of entrepreneur land and learned from their experiences, strategies, and insights. For me, it's always an honor to be on the stage with my roundtable leader and all the masterminders, Jill Olish, who are with us tonight. So we are all looking forward to your insights, your willingness to share your experience, and what makes this event truly special. So I would like to ask Denise for our first question.
Oh, such an honor. Thank you, guys. I want to kick us off with something that's thought-provoking. Is what is one thing that surprised you about becoming an entrepreneur when you began? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. My goodness. You know what was surprising? How hard it is. I don't know what made me think it would be a walk in the park, but I did not know how hard it was. And that was surprising for me. And not hard in that it's hard. I think it's, something that Donna said in the red carpet event is the unlearning that we have to do in order to learn some of the simple and the right things in the right order and all of the tricks that we can do to make things easier for ourselves. I really didn't put it together that is how hard it was going to be to unlearn those things and be flexible to learn the same thing in a different way.
Mm-hmm. I agree with Jill, but I'm going to add to that in the fact that I didn't know that I was still able to be an entrepreneur. I had all these limiting beliefs that I was too old, I was too this, I was too that. And as usual, I would say, yeah, I'm not going to listen to that. I'm going to go do this anyway. And so I did. So I think the limiting beliefs was a big deal for me. What about you, Donna?
Well, one of the things that I didn't mention in the red carpet that we were talking about is I was never supposed to go into the business that I wound up going in 20 years ago this year. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, and because I had worked my whole life, and that opportunity did not present itself. And so I needed to find something that I thought I'd be good at. And so from the get-go, my business was a learning opportunity, no matter what. And I had to pick up an industry very quickly and figure out how I would fit in. And I think that if I had to do it over again, I would have, given myself more time to research, more time to figure out all the things. But it was almost like I had to be thrown into it and then swim. So.
I love that, Donna. I love the fact that, you think you're going to be swimming in clear water and there's all this stuff in the water and you're having to maneuver around it. And then you think, I'm not going to make it to the other side. So I love the fact that you mentioned that. Adam, I see you nodding your head. What have you got to say?
I am following along with the conversation, and I hate when I get stuck in seaweed when I'm swimming in clear waters. It is very frustrating. But one thing that surprised me about entrepreneurship is how long it takes to get your messaging correct, and that you are constantly refining it, because how you think it sounds in your head might be completely different than what somebody hears. You may think it sounds incredible, and then you say it out loud and somebody actually doesn't understand what you're talking about. So that is one thing that surprised me about entrepreneurship.
Adam, I have to say that I'm on the same page with you on that one too, because it's like, wait, what do you mean you don't get what I'm trying to say?
I understand it, right?
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. When you think of Clubhouse and the not creepy room, you think about what do you mean you're not understanding what I'm saying? And, you think you're very clear, especially when you've been doing it for a while and then wind up in a community and everybody's going, huh?
Yeah.
So yes, I think being clear and knowing, I always say the three things: branding, messaging, and marketing. Once you can get that down, and then everything you do falls into place, that's the magic behind of having your own business.
And we should probably say for anybody who's watching what Clubhouse is. That's a social media app or a social audio app. I'm sorry, social audio app that you can have on your phone where there are open rooms for discussion. And My Sexy Business has a room every Thursday called the Practice Your Pitch Offer Intro. We call it the Not Creepy Room. So we spend a lot of time there talking about a lot of these things and practicing. So, and my answer to the question really quickly is, I didn't realize how much entrepreneurship would stretch me to learn things. Like I not arrogantly, but I thought I had a lot of skills when I started, and I do, but I didn't have the entrepreneurial ones I needed. And so there was a lot of stretch there, and that was a surprise for me.
I think we all stretch at some point, or we all have to stretch at some point. They only take us so far.
You can help us stretch.
Yes, of course I can. Here's a question for the panel. What's something that people think is glamorous about entrepreneurship but isn't? Ooh.
That's a good question.
I'll start. Glamorous, $1 million by the weekend, and all these pictures of you like living the lifestyle, and that you're going to be this person, and it's going to be fast, and you're going to just overnight turn into something. And that is, the glamour that everybody puts out there, and you kind of maybe don't see yourself in front of a Ferrari, but you kind of think success is there, and I could do it.
What, the whole overnight success thing, Denise,
Yeah, $1 million by the weekend, not happening, It's not the way it works.
It's not the way it works. I think it's, for me, is all the things that go into making, and I'm going to pick social media because I struggled with it so much, of what all the things that go into social media to be put out there, all the things you got to put into it, the pictures, the videos, the this, the that, the message, all of those things. I thought you just put out a pretty picture and say, like or don't like. No. It doesn't quite work that way.
Yeah, I relate to that too, Kat. But Adam, you go ahead and answer, because that was not my answer.
Thank you, Jill. I would say something I feel that is glamorous but isn't, is that people don't really get to see all the little steps that it takes to do something. They see the finished product. So like Kat, like you were saying, you put out this picture on social media. They don't see the hours you spent deciding on what picture to use, what color to use, what font should I use? Is the font centered? Do I need a border? Do I need to animate it? All of these things that we have to do step by step before that polished image goes out is something that is not shown. Or if you're getting ready for like for example, when we get ready for Good Morning Entrepreneurs, they don't see the production meetings that we have beforehand to figure out what the show, what the show is going to look like that week, who's co-hosting, who's doing this, who's doing what, all the decisions that have to be made before you get to the actual live stream recording is not shown. So I would say that is the while it's fun and there's a thriving in that, that's I would say the unglamorous side of what you're not seeing on the other side of the screen.
So all the pieces you have to put together just to make that one post.
Yes, Kat, exactly. And you're coming around with me every time to summarize my long thoughts. Thank you.
It's interesting because because of the background I had before I went into my current company 20 years ago, it's like so current, that, you know, people immediately thought that I was going to be successful, you know, because of my background and where I came from. And, you know, it was back then, it was like fake it till you make it. And I know that's not what you're supposed to do. And it's, you know, you really have to keep working at it and keep smiling at it and be open to all the things and the suggestions. So I think that's the part about being glamorous, is that sometimes people, you know, get an impression of you and think, oh, it'll be so easy for her. And I will be telling everybody, it's not. It's not so easy. Easier.
Yeah. I can relate to that too, Donna. I think for me though, and I'm going to get a little spicy, I think, on my answer for this question, but I think the glamorous part, in my opinion, for what I see for myself, is I can have my own schedule. And while, yes, I do get to make up my own hours and fit in work anywhere, it's really come down to knowing how to do that in a healthy way that isn't burning me out, because I have a toddler and I have a home and I have all these other things that I'm doing. So when am I going to fit in this work? And it's like, oh, okay, do it at this time or at this time. And then in reality, am I really doing it at a good time, or am I, you know, putting too much on my plate and trying to squeeze all this stuff in one little time? And that was probably like the most glamorous thing I saw. And it's a hard struggle to figure out how to actually do it well. And I'm so grateful for some of the systems that I've learned to be able to play around with my time and really fit things in a good way and not overwhelm myself in how do I get all this stuff done and in what time do I actually have to get it done.
Oh, yeah. Denise, did you get a chance to answer the question?
Yes, I did. I said the picture of glamour of, you know, the Ferrari and making $1 million by the weekend kind of thing. That picture that not you necessarily didn't want that, but you thought success was just right there, you know, right there.
Okay. I just wanted to hear the answer again. Sorry.
And to your point though, Denise, you know, it's like when you finally make that decision that you want to jump into being an entrepreneur, and you get excited that you know, many people are bright and they have experience and everything that they think, as you say, it's like right away, overnight, you're going to just do it all and know it all. And it is definitely a day-to-day learning process. And I'm not saying anything bad about it, but it just every day is another learning opportunity.
And I think if you're going to be, oh, go ahead, Adam.
No, I was just going to say to Donna's point that another unglamorous side that people don't see is the struggle or the feelings that we have about, am I doing the right thing? Mm-hmm. Are people seeing what I'm putting out there? Am I a success? Is all of those thoughts that we have don't necessarily make it to a social media post. Some people don't put that kind of vulnerability out there.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that, Adam. We have, as entrepreneurs, we have so many systems and processes in place. The one question that I want to ask the panel is, you know, what process or system did you put in place that made your life easier, even if it took forever to figure it out?
Oh, gosh. You see all of us giggling up here because we all have a good answer for this, right?
I have a really long list. I don't know how much time we have, but I have a list.
I think the system that is my favorite that I learned that is still taking time to learn is sticky note time. And what Kim White has taught us in how to do the sticky note time process has been probably the one thing that I've adopted to my lifestyle that has helped me along all these 4 years now, in being able to find how time works for me and solve that pain point, and that's ongoing, but also had to do as much taking care of myself as well and mixed in with that. And yeah, for me it's sticky note time, and that is a practice of putting things in the right order, in the right things in the right order, slowing down to speed up, all the things you may have heard us talk about other places.
I would concur with that, Jill. Sticky note time has definitely been my biggest struggle. I get pieces of it, but connecting all of the dots and putting it all in the order that you're supposed to do it is my biggest struggle as well. My calendar and I, like Kat got married to entrepreneurship. My calendar and we're like on the, I don't want to say we're on the outskirts or the outs or whatever, but it's a rocky relationship. Some days it's the most amazing thing in the world, and other days I just want to throw it out the window.
Oh my God, I'm hysterical laughing, Adam, because that's such a great visual and something that I get challenged with on a day-to-day basis, is the calendar. For me, though, sticky note time for sure, because my whole office is like boards and boards of things that I want to get done. But had I not especially with a project, had I not learned how to do that and put the things up there and get that feeling of ripping it off when it was done, that's the satisfaction. The other thing too is I will never forget, this was, I think, even 3 years ago when I first batched my social media for the first time. And we were getting ready to do a Fierce Entrepreneur Summit. And I was in New York, and I was like, oh my God, it was like such an amazing thing that I didn't have to think about that on a day-to-day basis. That was just driving me crazy. So knowing some of the tricks and knowing how to do things in batches, to me was something that was so important for me to learn. The calendar is my next hurdle.
Well,
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry.
that's okay.
I wanted to ask Adam, what was the system that you put in place that made his life easier? Because you said that sticky note time is a struggle right now, but we never really heard from you. What's made life easier that you've put into place?
Well, Jill, I was answering my own question, so that is why I gave that answer. I would agree with Donna, the batching, and that I actually found a great social media scheduler that I absolutely love using. It has made putting social media out, like Donna said, so much easier because I can schedule things out several months in advance. So I don't have to worry about certain posts for maybe 3 or 4 months, which is incredible. So batching and the social media scheduler is a process that I have put in place that has helped me. And it did take a while for me to figure it out. But now that I have the understanding of it, that is much better. But can I just say one more quick thing? Yeah. That does also relate to something that you don't see front facing are the hours that I do put in to getting that stuff batched. Thankfully in this community, we have a social media bucket weekend, which is when we work on all our social media for the quarter, but that is a full weekend of constantly working on it. So nobody sees that side of it, that we all give up a weekend to get that stuff done, but then thank God it's done. So that's a twofer.
And really quickly, I have two things. One is using the planner that we have, the calendar from Sticky Note Time on paper, because I played with everything, electronic calendars, day at a time pages. I've like done everything, and none of it has stuck until we got to the 1 week view that we can print on the printer and do in a certain way and block it out, and it's really helped. Sometimes it falls by the wayside, but for the most part it stays on top of things, so I just don't miss anything, because that's hard too, scheduling. And then keeping track of my media assets. We create a lot of things, and my filing system on my computer has never been super great since I stopped working in corporate. So I now have a really great system for keeping track of things. So I know when I used something, so I don't reuse it again, or I know where I used it, and it really makes a difference. So that's what I got.
I think for me, I'm going to agree with Adam, is where putting all the social media that we do and putting it on this one platform, and then you fix it and forget it. Well, not really fix and forget it, but you put it out there and it goes to all of them, and you don't have to sit there and take time to go to each platform. Because if I had to do that, I would not be married to entrepreneurship right now. Just saying.
Well, I have another question, Kat, if you don't mind. I wanted to ask everybody to give us one thing that has been something in entrepreneurship that you never imagined you'd have to think about when you started your business. Oh, Donna's laughing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to think about this one for a second.
All right, well, I'll go first. How's that? I never thought about how I wanted to treat customers and how much that would impact what I set up. Because some people don't, they just do the thing, and they get to the end and they don't figure out how to let people talk to them. Are you going to accept refunds? What your policy is going to be? Like those kind of things. Like, how do you want to present yourself as a business person? I didn't even think about. I mean, I have very strong beliefs about it now. Like once it came to light, it was like, oh yeah, this is what I want to do. But I didn't come into it knowing it.
I think for me, it was realizing that as an entrepreneur, it's your business, but you have to see it from your clients or potential clients' view of how is your message being received. You know, 'cause to me, that message is great. You know, I'm like, all right, I'm good with this, but you have to see it from someone else's perspective, someone who might be looking at you to say, wow, this person might be a good fit for me. But if you're just trying to, really do your social media or whatever for yourself, well, you're not trying to, get yourself to be in your business. You're the entrepreneur. So you have to see it from a potential client's view.
Denise, can you repeat the question? Because I think I have an answer, but I may change it.
Yeah, just what is one tasky thing or one area or subject that you never thought about? I mean, you've been in business before, so it may not apply to you, but you just didn't imagine you'd have to deal with.
Oh, I do. And this was actually works within the question I was going to pose later, which we can. But for me, it was writing a book. I never did I ever imagine writing a book, going through all the things that we go through and all the things that we had to juggle. I mean, I used to look at people who went for their master's and PhD, and I'd go, and they're a parent and they're working. And I'm like, where do they just find the time? And I can't tell you where I found the time. I think, getting my message clear, getting more focused, it was the best thing that I could have done for me and for my business. And, now I have it and I can share it with other people. But if you told me this 4 years ago, by the way, you're going to be writing a book. Never, 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 never.
I'm going to say I'm pretty stumped by this question, but I am going to have to agree with Donna also about writing a book. It was definitely a dream that I had, but before coming into this community, it was a pipe dream because I didn't know what I would write my book about. I always just thought I would write it about my life. But then somebody planted a seed about writing a book about my interviews and things I learned, and that is what. So I guess I'm gonna agree with Donna and go on the same path as her.
Can I just say that it helps that some of us were voluntold to write a book? Just saying.
I love it.
I think we all were voluntold.
And we listened. Go figure.
Go figure.
Right.
Geez, that was a really good question, Denise. Thank you for asking that, because it does make me think, and I had to obviously think because I didn't have an answer right away. But I think I didn't ever thought that I'd have to put myself on the other side of the computer in my potential client's seat. And I think, Kat, that kind of goes along with what you were answering with your question. Just what is the wording that I am using? Because I know I had a problem and I'm going to fix, I'm a solution for the problem I had. But really, I'm not here to solve my problem anymore. I'm here to solve someone else's. And I just never thought that I'd have to try and sit in those person's shoes and figure out, well, what wording is going to be what they would use to find a solution for their problem. So it was a challenge for me when that came about. And it still is to remember, it's not my seat I'm sitting in. I'm sitting in someone else's seat while I work on this project. But someone else who is doing two roles on the side of the computer is our very good friend, Adam Rothenberg. So if you see him nodding off to the side, it's because he is actually posting on socials right now as we are live, keeping you guys informed throughout this entire summit. So I promise you he's paying attention because he's getting all of the highlights that we are all talking about on here. And we thank you, Adam, for keeping the show going in the chat.
Thank you, Adam.
Because that's a multitask that I'm not very good at. So I'm grateful for you. And one thing that you brought up earlier, Adam, was about the social media and what we kind of aren't posting about on socials, but we are doing. So I wanted to ask the question that what is it that you're not putting on social media about your business journey? Or adventure, as we like to call it here.
I don't know how hard it is. Does it count? I mean, there's so, it seems all encompassing, all of the things that we put together. But I think for, if someone saw my office right now, the behind the scenes, which I should probably put that on social media, they'd be like, whoa. I think they would be like, she's a hot mess. But I think just all the things that you have to do just to be in business, and all the unglamorous things, not that, ooh, look at me, I'm pretty, read my social. It's all the other things that go into it. The frustration, the doubt, should I put this out there? All the little mini decisions we have to make day to day on every aspect of our business. And I think that's the most unglamorous part to me, I think.
And if I can jump in, let's not forget the technology. And when that goes awry, and we are either on the phone with a social media platform or a company that we do business with and trying to figure out the kinks, and we're looking at our calendar, we're not doing what we planned on doing that day because we have to get through this challenge. All those things that, come to light when you have your business and you're a solopreneur. It's, you need to take care of those things because you can't just let them go to the wayside. So a lot of times, some of the things that come, I don't want to say come at us from a negative point of view, but come out of the ordinary, and that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, and remember that we have to finish our social media, and remember that we have to contact some clients. And, so there's a lot. And some days it's easier than others. And we all get up in the morning and hope that will be one of those days.
Thanks, Donna. That's so true. One of the things that I think is unglamorous is all the research we have to do to figure out something new, to figure out something we don't know, or to just stay current in our industries and have integrity and make sure that we're presenting accurate information. Because that's kind of something that we all believe here is we're not here to scam anybody, we're not manipulative, we're real. So I don't like to share anything that isn't real, and that takes a lot of time. Like, people don't think about the hours and hours that we spend reading and going through stuff and writing and making sure our content's accurate, and just it eats up time before you even can blink an eye.
I think the things that I don't post about on social media are showing the side of me about who I'm so excited that I just pitched myself to try to get an interview with, because I don't 100% know if the interview is going to come through all the time. Sometimes they don't come through. I don't really post about who I haven't had a chance to interview yet. And the other thing that I don't post about on social media that I will admit here on the Fierce Entrepreneur Summit is that while I wear a nice sweater or shirt on top, down below, I am wearing my pajama pants and socks every day, and it is the most comfortable thing in the world. So that is something else I am not posting about on social media.
Adam, are we twinning? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, Kat, that is what I'm trying to say.
And Adam, I think you need to start posting about all three of those things now. Oh my goodness. I didn't realize that you had such fun things that you could be posting about. I don't, for me, it's like nobody really wants to see me chasing a 4-year-old at this point. Yeah, that's like the majority of what I do post. But I don't post the unglamorous side of working from home with other people in the house and trying to navigate, I'm going to go record. Everyone needs to be quiet, or a dog barking during the recording. I'd love to have like cameras set up everywhere for the perfect perspective to record me from behind, showing what's on the computer. Or I think it comes down to that, where I just don't think I'd have a good view of the things that I'd like to share, that I just don't share it then.
Yeah, I love all these answers. As entrepreneurs, we sometimes have to use our gut instinct on things. Mm-hmm. So my next question is, when did your gut tell you yes, but the numbers or the logic or people were saying no? And what happened when you relied on your gut instinct?
Can you explain that a little bit more?
Absolutely. So let's say you're trying to make a decision in your business, and your head is saying one thing and your gut is saying something else. Did you ever go against what your brain was saying and went with your gut? And what happened when you did that? Wow, I stumped the panel.
Yeah,
are you kidding me?
I'll jump in for a second, because I think that yes is the answer. Yes, I have gone with my gut over my thought, and I think that only happened once I did the magic slow down to speed up. Because if I was constantly, because that my drive is what keeps me going on a day-to-day basis. If I didn't step back and I didn't slow down to see what if, should I, and When my stomach, it feels like it's in knots and it's uncomfortable, that's a halt, and to really look at the situation, because sometimes we can fool ourselves when we think of something, but I think intuition or the gut is really what drives me.
I know there's been a time. Oh, sorry, Kat. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I know there has been a time that I have listened to my gut, and whatever the outcome was the right thing, and I was very proud of myself for doing that. I cannot, for the life of me in this moment, think of a specific example. I just know it has been there. And I've known, I guess, more times when I've gone with what my head is telling me instead of my gut, and I see the outcome and I just say to myself, you should have listened to your gut.
I think we've all said that, Adam.
I've had moments of slow starts on things, and my logic would say that I wasn't doing something properly, and the system or whatever I created, where my gut, I knew it's like, okay, well, you didn't present yourself well enough. You need to work on your video. You need to work on your message. So accepting that my gut is telling me that, yeah, there's some things to be worked on. And it wasn't just a failure. It was, your brain is saying, well, you did all these steps, you should work, So, but inside you're like, yeah, I know, I really need to work on that. So,
Jill?
I was going to say, who's going next, Kat? You or me? I think my one time that I have had that happen is when I haven't been ready to do the step that my thought came up with, or even that someone else may have presented, knowing that intuitively that is the next step for me, or something else is the next step. And I go with like, no, we're not there. And I put the brakes on it, thinking that I'm not capable yet, and not going with the intuition of, that sounds like it aligns with everything that I'm doing. Like, why wouldn't that be the next step I take? And I think we get that way when we're just not confident in ourselves yet and our messaging. So that was where that started for me. And I just had to say no to a few things, or say yes to the wrong things, before I figured out what my intuition was lining in with.
And Jill, that's definitely part of being an entrepreneur. It's, sometimes it's I want to, but it's not right now, stuff like that. And one of the things that I can say I went with my gut was being a part of Fire Up Mastermind, because I had just come out of one. And when I was asked to be a part of it, I was like, oh, no. And so when I'm stuck between trying to make a decision, do I go this way or do I go that way? I kind of think about it and I put it on the shelf. When I take it off the shelf and I get the same feeling in my gut, then I know I'm going the right way. And that's what happened. It was pure gut instinct to say yes, to be a part of Mastermind. And here we are today. So that was a great decision. And, other times I have that gut instinct, but it's not the right time. I want to do it, but there's something holding me back. I'm like, oh, let me just wait. So I think, your gut can take you on that journey. Your gut instinct, I think for me, has never been wrong. Every time I go with my gut instinct, it's always been the right way to do.
And Kat, just think, if you never joined this community, you wouldn't have gotten married to entrepreneurship, and then we wouldn't have an anniversary to celebrate. So we're glad that you took this path.
I know. And we're having such a great marriage. So I would have just missed out on all of that.
Kat, one of the things that you were just saying is, when we trust our gut, it's usually in the right way. It's leading us the right way. So I want to assume that we've all had this moment, though, where we have wanted to quit, and something inside of us has told us it is not, it's not our right time. So I wanted to ask, potentially, like, one of our last questions for this little bit of time that we have together. What can you share a time when you almost quit, and what kept you going?
Oh, pick me, pick me.
Oh, please go, Kat. You were ready.
I think I was doing it was the second year for my soiree. And I thought I had everything in place, except I had the wrong link to join. And I wanted to quit. I was like, I'm done. I'm all set. No one could get into the event because I had to rush and put the link out there. And I was just beside myself. I was so angry with myself, that I didn't ask the question. And I said, that's it. I'm done. Well, I wasn't done. I'm just going to say, but those are the times where you sit back and it's a huge learning experience. So that next time, for sure that link is going to work. Now, something else may go wrong, and that's another learning experience. However, that link that you have is on point, and you remember that. So,
Kat, I love that you said that. Oh, so sorry, Adam. Because a lot of the times when we are feeling like we're ready to quit, it really is like a humongous learning experience that we're like, no, that's not going to make me quit. We got this. And I see that from you so much, Kat. So so glad you said that. Adam, love for you to go ahead and answer.
I would say the 2 times that I thought about quitting was one when I first started dating Angelo, because I wanted to, prior to meeting him, I would work on my interviews at night after my day job, after I got home from my day job. But then when I met him, I wanted to spend more time with him. I didn't want to work all that night. So I thought about quitting. And then I realized I just have to make an adjustment and I can still do everything. And so I kept going because I still loved, I love interviewing people. It is what I live for. So that kept me going. And then the second time I was going to quit was sometime right after quarantine ended. I just felt a little burnt out because I felt like I was doing so much during quarantine, more than I had been doing. And then again, something inside me was just like, you can't quit. And I forgot what the moment was, but something showed me that there was a purpose to still keep going. And I am very glad that I kept going to be where I am today.
I am too, Adam. I don't like to fail. Okay. And for me, I have definitely thought of quitting, and not too long ago, as a matter of fact. But there's something inside of me that it's like, I can't let it go because it didn't work. I might decide to let it go because I just don't want to work anymore, but I would never want to leave because I failed at something. And that's what keeps me going. Because there are so many times, you work your butt off putting everything together for a webinar and no one comes. You put all this effort into something, and then something technical, a glitch, like Kat had, those kinds of things, when you sit there and you could really say, I'm going to pack it in. But I think we all have that, not a fear of failure. It's just, we don't want to fail, and we all want to make it all happen. So that's my answer.
I'm going to say that I've had moments where I've created things and they've not been successful. And those are the moments where you just feel dejected because you've invested all this energy and thought and creativity, and you were focused and you plowed through it. You got to the end, and then you're like, it failed. But the lesson that kept me going was I didn't fail. I was trying to do the wrong thing at the wrong time. I wasn't thinking about all the other pre-steps that had to happen for something to be successful. And so I really just didn't know enough. I went right for the product for the sale. I didn't do any of the pre-work. And so that's been a lot of the learning. And it's an honest mistake. I mean, it's just something you think you're opening a store. You think you're creating products and selling them. And online work is so much different than a brick and mortar store. And you just don't know that until you know that. That's what I'm going to say.
I love that answer, Denise. I think for a lot of us, we put a post out there that we think is so clever and we put so much work into it and 20 people like it. And you're just like, oh, really? But a really smart person once told me that if you had those 20 people that liked your post in a room and you were speaking to them, would you be okay with that? And I'm like, yes, I would be okay with that. So I think that, we put so much work into it. We want thousands of people to like our posts. And that's just not reality.
Okay, I'm so glad you shared that with us, because that really changes how we can look at the things that make us feel like we want to quit. For me, it's been learning things that are very impactful to others and making sure I do learn it in the right way to be able to live it, I'm going to say. And that's hard and heavy. And I'd say about once a quarter, I get to a spot where it is extremely challenging. And then I'm like, nope, I'm done. I want out. But there's too many people who believe in me that continue to remind me that I'm not doing this just for me, but I'm doing this because there's people out there that need what I can supply as a support or as a solution to them. And that still feels very heavy. And it's like, well, that's a little too much pressure. But, here we are at another Fierce Entrepreneur Summit, all showing up because we didn't quit when it got hard for us. So I'm proud of every single one of us on this stage for not giving up.
And it's events like this where we get to hear everybody else's thoughts that make us remember that we want this and we want to stay around and we're not alone.
Definitely not alone.
Yeah. I think that we have to also think of, I've heard the word fail and failure, but I think as an entrepreneur, I like to think of it as failing forward, because you learned something that didn't work so that you won't repeat that same mistake again.
Well said. Mm-hmm. Well said, Kat.
You even said that earlier too, Kat. So you've got some great wisdom to share tonight. I think we all do. So I'm really appreciative of everyone's answers, and you guys all answering honestly, because without our honest answers, who was it? I think somebody was saying earlier today, how much is too much transparency? I think it was Yvonne. But, that's why we do the Entrepreneur Summit. I think to answer other questions, but I'm so grateful that we finally came to a theme about behind the scenes, because we tend to talk some behind the scenes all along the way in all the other past ones that we get to devote the whole show to this one.
Well, on top of the fact that if we all said that it was easy and we were all a success, it would be a boring summit, right?
Yeah. We don't want that. We got to entertain with our foibles and our craziness.
Can I just add something? I say this all the time, how grateful I am for the community in this group, and how any entrepreneur, current or thinking about becoming one, to search out a community of like-minded people that will help you and support you, because it's a horrible thing to do it alone. And I think that is such a benefit that I didn't have this the first time I started my business. There was nothing or people I could bounce ideas off of. And the ones I did bounce ideas off of, I got the wrong answers. So, that's so important.
Thank you, Donna, for adding that in, because you are so right. And I think you are the biggest reminder of our encouragement for finding a community. Well, Kat,
I think it's halftime.
it is.
Time to go get your popcorn, get your drink, come back for the second half of the show.
Yes.
So, Yvonne, I have a question for you.
Yes. What's that question?
Have you ever heard of if you stumble, make it part of the dance?
Oh, absolutely. I have a theater background. I remember doing a show once and it was a farce, and which farces are all about doors opening and closing at times and people missing connections. And somebody was supposed to be in a closet, and I went to turn the doorknob handle, and the doorknob handle went flying off the door and out behind. And I just kept in character and went, oh, and ran down the stairs, put it back. So, yes, I have heard of that.
So we're going to officially put the doorknob back on this door because I actually was bringing you to stage and instead hit the halftime show button. So we saw the video a little out of order. Decided, why would we stop it? It's already going. So
It's all good. It's all good. And I love, see, this is one of the things I love about this, about us, is we tell what, well, this was supposed to happen and this didn't happen. And we're just going anyway.
that's right. We believe messy is beautiful when messy is you're starting to do something, you're trying to do something, you're accidentally doing something, whatever it is. We believe that is beautiful because we are out here doing it afraid. That's what we'll call it.
We're out here failing forward, as our freaking fabulous Cat Corchado
That's
would
right.
say.
That's right. Well, I don't know about you, Yvonne, but I'm telling you, I have, let me see if I can pull it up here. I have an entire page of notes. we were like,
So many
oh my
notes.
gosh, we got to talk about that. Oh, we got to mention that. So I'm going to let you go first, Yvonne, because maybe we got some of the same things and we only have a limited time to like bring up the awesome sauce that this crew just put out.
I mean, yes, this was a really rich conversation. I think one of the main things that I want to bring up first is, because it came up multiple times from multiple people in different ways, is the challenge of messaging, which is really the challenge of putting yourself in the shoes of the person you're trying to help, so that you are saying things in a way that they go, oh my gosh, you are in my head. And that, I think every single person on the panel at some point mentioned how challenging that has been.
I agree, Yvonne. I think that is I think it ties into one of the main things I pulled out of it too, was the transparency part. Transparency is actually for the person you're talking. The transparency is to help them understand something that helps them, not just because you're telling too much of your business. So I think there's a big difference, and I think that falls into messaging. I think when you're talking about getting clear about your messaging, what do you have experience with that will help someone? What can you share transparently that will maybe encourage someone not to quit? What do you have? But it's not about, well, I did this and I did this and I did that's not what it's for. It's for the person you're talking to. Your messaging is for the person you're talking to.
Absolutely. I think it goes to speaking from a point of view that says, is my struggle and how I got to the other side of it, or even if we're still going through a struggle, if I share this, is it going to be helpful for the person that I'm sharing this with?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think every one of the leaders of the round table, because here's the difference. We have two hosts, Kat and Jill, but we have all leaders. And I think that that's a very distinct difference in some places. Other roundtables might not have that belief, but we do. And I am always in awe because I believe in y'all so much. But I look at my notes and I think every one of these things ties into all of you believe them. All of you are willing to share what you've gone through to help someone. transparency is not to be a show off. The transparency is to help someone. And so my heart is very full, Yvonne, for hearing all the struggles, because the struggles are real.
Yeah. I'm really glad that the question got asked. Was there a point in time when you thought about quitting? Because I've certainly been there. And as Jill said, maybe it's once a quarter that you get to the point and really start to question it. And I think it's one of the massive benefits of surrounding yourself with a community of people who get it, is that, you may not share that may be an overshare with your people that you're trying to help. But if you're surrounded by other entrepreneurs who get it, and you can share it there and be encouraged to keep going. I loved that Donna said, she said something. She said, there's something inside of me that just won't give up.
Mhm.
And Denise said, I didn't fail. I just did the wrong thing at the wrong time.
Mhm.
Which led Kat into talking about failing forward. We take it as failure, but if we can take it as a lesson, it's the next step in the process.
I think everybody was brilliant, just to be honest. And I think the part that I love is the success is not by the weekend. True success is long-term, long-lasting. It's over time. You can have suddenly moments where things pick up really quickly, and you better be ready for them. But I also think that expecting something instantly, because we are such an instant gratification culture, we have to recognize. I mean, it only took me. I'm going to tell you all, I am an overnight success, and I want everybody to know this. I am an overnight success, and it only took me 42 years. So I just want to make sure everybody knows. I think that's part of the being transparent, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness. Anything else?
I was gonna say, I've got a whole list of notes that we're gonna have to put on hold on, because we need to get everybody back on stage. But it is amazing to see everybody. I will say one thing that Adam said. I want to do a throwback for a giggle, and then we're gonna go right into putting them back on stage. Back a long time ago, they talked about mullets, the haircut where it's short here and long in the back. That was business, business in the front and party in the back. I'm just going to say your outfit, Adam, that you're not choosing to share on all your socials, is business on top and party on the bottom.
I have the same outfit, by the way, Adam.
I love it. Well, we want to get all of these amazing humans back up here so that they can continue this conversation. And Yvonne and I will be back. We'll be back in a minute.
All right, Kat, Adam, Denise, Donna. Oh, you two are.
Everyone's here.
You ready to do this again?
I know. Just for anyone who's joining us, we are here at the Fierce Entrepreneur Summit with all these amazing leaders in their industry and in their business, and we're talking about behind the scenes as an entrepreneur. So if you ever see things on social media or in other places, you think, oh, they just have it all together. We so don't have it together. I'm just going to tell you, it looks that way. And thank you very much. But it's a hot mess express. And thinking about hot mess express, here's a question for the panel. So what is your current hot mess zone in your business?
Pick me.
Denise.
My business accounting and tracking. I just filed my taxes, and there are piles. It took me a week. And this is the second year I've done it this way, and it's a nightmare, and I'm challenged to do better next year.
Well, I took an extension, Denise, so at least you got yours in. Okay. So life happens, and there are ways to get around it, like filing for an extension, even though you may get penalized. But yeah, that the record keeping and all of that is I don't remember the question, but I loved your answer.
Donna, what's your current hot mess
Oh.
as an entrepreneur that's you know, that you're like, I can never keep up with this? What is that for you?
Well, it was emails, but I've gotten through those. I just feel that, and we spoke about this earlier, it's you get through one chunk, and then all of a sudden you're faced with, oh, now I have to do that chunk. And my next goal is to start blogging more. And so that is my answer, is getting that. What's the, I'm trying to think of the word, schnizzle in order on that.
I love it, Donna. For me, I am the hot mess zone. I don't know how else to say it, but if it wasn't me that was the hot mess, I think Denise, I have to agree with you. The finance part is just like, whoo, what do I do with all these numbers? But I think I'm the hot mess zone for my business right now as I figure myself out and how I work with the toddler and all the other pieces and roles and everything. So
Adam, would you like to answer?
Yes. I think my hot mess express zone is organizing. For as organized as I am, which is very organized, if you could see my notes app and how I always have to use the search feature in my notes app to find thoughts that I have had come through my head that I wanted to write down, or I think, oh, I'm going to organize my interview questions this way. I'm going to organize this here. But then I somehow end up with 5 or 12 notes about the same topic. And then when I go back to find it, it's like such a struggle to find it. So that is not only my hot mess express zone, but that's also something else behind the scenes that I don't share on social media that I am now putting out there in the world for everybody to hear.
Oh, Adam, I so identify with that. I've got stuff on my desktop that, you know, what do you say? You know how you have double of pictures and double of, I've got quadruples of stuff. And I always have to go back in and say, do I need this? Because I'm a hoarder. I'm a hoarder. I save things. I might need this, but do I need 4 of them of the same thing? So I love that, Adam. I love your answer to that question.
Kat, was that your answer to your question?
Yes.
Okay.
That's my hot mess express, is that right there. Yes.
Love it. Hot mess. That's a great question, because I feel like we are all figuring out our way in around our things that we like and we don't like. And I think we have to end up setting up boundaries for ourselves, but don't realize it until we might be into a hot mess zone where we're like, oh, maybe we should have stopped a while ago, or what do we do next? How do we fix this? But I wanted to ask then, we can get into the middle of some pretty big things and realize that we got to have a boundary. So what is a boundary that you didn't know you needed until you were deep in the trenches with that thing?
I'll go. If I understood your question, I have to understand that I can't always work well with people around me. So we have a lot of co-working spaces and conversations, and I had to put a boundary up that if I had to create something, I had to step back from some things that I really like doing. And that was my thing, is I had to be honest with myself about what worked for me.
I love that answer, Denise. For me, it was when to say enough is enough. Because it's easy for us to get up at 6 a.m. in the morning and just go, and then fall in the bed and rinse and repeat. So there's a time when I have to push back and say, I've done all I can do for today. So, and then get up and go have some me time or some us time for me and Peter to be able to enjoy the downtime so that I can enjoy my business when I come back to it.
I agree, Kat. I'm my boundary is myself. I have to put up a boundary and say, I am not going to, I have to stop working now, or I have a new husband that I need to pay attention to. And I can create like a fun day and not work 24/7. So my boundary is really myself. And I have to stop. I just have to stop. And I have to put that in my calendar. And as we all talked earlier, it's hard for me to follow my calendar. So that is the boundary that I have to deal with.
Yeah, my boundary too, Donna. I'm with you on that. I don't have a new husband, but my boundary is, I think my boundary is Angelo and myself, because I have put in place that unless it's an absolute emergency, I'm not going to work past 6 o'clock. I want to make sure we have dinner together every night. So those are my boundaries of a stop time. And on the weekends, I'll allow myself to work Saturdays, maybe a little in the morning, maybe a little in the afternoon. Sundays, I 100% do not work. Again, unless there's some kind of absolute emergency. And I don't really know with an interview what that absolute emergency could be, that it can't wait an extra day. But sometimes something does have to get out quicker than what I think is the timeline. So sometimes stuff like that comes up. But I do put those boundaries in place of when I'm not going to work and when I am.
I'm similar to you, Adam. But my boundary was how available I was, in the fact that I actually went out and got a second phone for work things. And that's where I put all of the stuff that I needed for any work. So that way I wasn't taking it with me when I did go spend time with family. And I made sure like my phone was turned off by 8 p.m. So I had like no phones until bedtime, set it away. I will say some things have shifted because now it's a little easier to work at night because I've learned some things, but I still hold that like no work stuff able to come with me when it is family time.
I think it's important to have that in place. And I think we all learn the hard way. When we first started, we're like, I could do this, and then we're working 12, 15-hour days and we're like, something's got to give. And so putting in those boundaries, I think you're better able to get more done when you have those boundaries in place than if you're just willy-nilly going whatever, doing whatever, whenever, however. And then you end up spending more time doing the things that you thought you needed to do. Whereas if you had the boom gates up, then you would have done it all and then be able to relax in the evening.
Kat, I totally agree with you. I used to think I was a night owl, and I would be up till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, working, and then get up early. And I would sit in front of the computer and fall asleep. and then have to do it again and then do it. And it took me a while to realize that I have to shut it off at night and get up earlier because I can concentrate more in the morning than I could at night. And things that I could get done 1, 2, 6 in the morning was taking me 4 hours at night. So it's really learning your best operating times.
So I have been asked the question, what is a boom gate? And it's putting something, here you come to, a railroad crossing and the gates come down for a good reason. That's a boom gate. And it's protecting you. And it's putting things in place where it's a stopping point for you, where no matter what, you don't go past that point unless it's an emergency. Just like Adam said, I don't know what kind of emergency would happen, in our business that would require us to go, walk around or climb over that boom gate. But it's just putting things in place, a time, a place, an event, when, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock is dinner time. That's when we stop working. I have my Catitude Day, which is Sunday, where I don't allow any business whatsoever. And it's doing what I want to do when I want to do it and if I want to do it. So there.
Boom. Yeah.
Jill, can I interject for a second?
Please, yes.
I did see in the comments that Angelo put a question in the chat. I just wanted to see if I could ask it.
Yeah,
On his behalf. He posted a question asking to us, knowing what we know now, what advice would we give to our younger self about our entrepreneurial journey?
That's hot off the presses, folks.
That is.
That's a great question from Angela. Well, thank you, Angela, for asking that question for us. Is anyone ready for an answer?
I am.
I am.
Okay, great. Go for it, Kat.
Go first. Kat, you go first.
I think for me that what I would tell my younger self is not to wait. I was afraid of everything. I was afraid of what people would think, what my parents would think, and then all the limiting factors that go into that. I would have started my entrepreneurial journey earlier rather than later. But then again, the timing has been perfect because I think I was ready at this point in time to do a business. So it's kind of like this. I might have thought about it sooner, just saying. Maybe I wouldn't have done anything about it, but I think I would have told myself to just go for it and see what happens.
I would have told my younger self to get comfortable with the fact that I'm an introvert and that I don't like public speaking, but I can do it, and I'm totally capable, and I have something to say. I just have to accept that it's not second nature, and I should have gotten over it sooner because that was very hard to start with.
I would tell my younger self to take the leap sooner, that it's going to be okay, and to make sure you buy a lot of pajama pants because you're going to need them for many years to come.
I don't know if I could top that, Adam. I would tell my younger self, and I've said it before, so I sound like a broken record, that seek out other people, other like-minded people earlier on. If you can find other people that you can, form an alliance with. I used to do it where I would call it a synergy partner. Like, I would, do things with other people in marketing who didn't necessarily do what I did, but they had a different type of marketing business, and at least that we could do things together. So I would say to my younger self, seek out more of that so that I wouldn't have to say right now, I wish I knew then what I know now.
And I feel like, Kat, you came out strong with like, should have done it earlier, but also at the same time, it was good timing. And I don't think I would tell myself to start this earlier, but also I started entrepreneurship out of the necessity at the right time that I started it. So for me, it's trust my intuition and to trust others' intuition when they are trying to lead me in what they understand as well. So also, I think the other thing is I can do hard things. Yeah.
I think that's what stops us sometimes is we think we have to know all the things. I call it getting ready to get ready. And, you know, there's getting ready to get ready, and then there's getting ready and just do it. So I think we have to just make that decision, that leap forward, and know, you know, because I trust me, and knowing if I had trusted in myself more, I think that I would have been an entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur a lot earlier, I think. So speaking of being an entrepreneur, if you had to do this all over again, would you still be an entrepreneur? All right, let's not answer all at once, y'all.
Well, my answer is yes, because I feel like I had 2 opportunities in my lifetime to try my hand at being an entrepreneur. So yes, I definitely would. And I wish I would have known certain things earlier on, so I wouldn't be on the struggle bus with a few things now, you know. And but yes, I would do it again. No, I wouldn't do it again. I would continue doing it.
And yes, I would do it again. I believe the reason I leapt into it was that I didn't want to continue to give my energy and creativity to someone else's business and their dream. I wanted to create my own. And I think that's still true. And so, yes, I'd know a lot more this time, but yes.
And I'll say, in the words of Britney Spears, yes, I'd do it again. 100%. I would have also done it sooner, knowing what I know now of how everything was going to work out. I would have definitely done it sooner than I did. But I also don't know that I would have had everything in place that I needed in place sooner than I had it. So as much as I would have liked to be able to do it earlier in life, I don't know that I really would have been fully capable to do it at that time.
Kat, do you want to answer first?
No, you go, Jill.
Okay. I want to say no, I probably wouldn't do it again, but then I'd be lying, because there was a few times before I actually went and did it that I tried to go ahead and start a business. Like when, as far as looking at physical locations for what I was interested in doing, but never got anywhere. So I probably would do it again. And I think I'd be probably in the same boat. If I were to do it all over again, it'd be for a reason that had a purpose behind it, instead of just what I thought I wanted to do.
I love that answer, Jill. I think when I think about being an entrepreneur again, yes, I would. I realized years ago that there's no loyalty when you're working for a company. I don't care how much time you put in, how much overtime, they have no loyalty to you. And if I'm going to work this hard, I'd rather work this hard for my own business. I think that I really had an entrepreneurial mind because honestly, I sold everything there was, people, you know, but I wasn't passionate about it. You know, I would say, do you want to buy my thing? They're like, no. I'm like, okay, you know, and I, but when you're passionate about something, then you put the effort in. And that, I think that's what we're all doing, is that we're passionate about what we're doing, and we're willing to be transparent to the entire world on what we're doing, how we're messing up, but we're still here. We survived. We're going to mess up a little more, and we're going to survive that too. So great answers, you guys.
Can I add one more thing? I think that no, we're not telling our younger self now. We're talking about if we would do it again, right? But yes, and I think that the part that I wished I would have known more for that answer is knowing what I know now about branding, messaging, and marketing, and what it means to get those three in alignment to have a successful business, because it wasn't anything anybody taught me. I didn't, when you're on your own, nobody's giving you lessons on how to become an entrepreneur. So I just wish I would have, had all of that a little earlier on. And I always say to Kim, I wish I had met her 10 years ago.
Well, Donna, did you have a question that you wanted to ask? I think earlier you had said that you were thinking of a question that you wanted to ask us.
It was, I think we all dabbled in it, but the true question was, as an entrepreneur and all the things we've all shared about, all the things that we've done, how did you create the time to write your book?
Ooh. I don't think I created time to write the book. I took advantage of time that I already had and shifted what I could have done instead. I wrote my first chapter of my book on Mother's Day while I decided to go do Mother's Day solo and send my son and my husband off to my husband's family. And so I'm going to go sit and have myself a cocktail and see if I can write or journal at least. And I spit out a whole chapter, probably a little bit more. And then I was on a roll. It was right before bedtime, normally when I would sit in quiet and have a little bit of a journaling time. So I just shifted what I wrote about in the time that I already had for myself.
I'm going to say, along with what Jill said about not having to really find the time, I didn't have to find the time either. The time was designated for me because I had taken this amazing program at the time called New Author Intensive. And the time was basically gifted to me to use that time to write my book. So through the many rounds of that program, I was able to write my book. And then after the book was written, during the editing phase, yes, I did have to find time then, but I felt like it was easier to find that. Well, actually, I didn't have to find the time then, because then I was taking simple publishing for entrepreneurs through my sexy business. So that time was also gifted to me in that was my dedicated space to get the book published. And there were some things that were found through the publishing process that needed to be fixed. So it was really that the time was allotted for me, and I took advantage of that time. So I didn't actually have to find the time to do those things.
Denise?
I didn't have trouble coming up with the majority of my book. I actually really enjoyed putting it together because it was a process. It was an actual do it yourself thing. I struggled so I didn't have trouble finding time because I liked doing it and I was excited by it. And then the last chapter, I had total writer's block. So then I had to force myself to put time in the schedule to work on it because I really wasn't having fun because I lost my thread. So, but anyway, that's me.
Kat, you want to share? Because you've had a unique experience writing your book.
Well, I think for me, finding the time wasn't the hardest part. When you say writer, I'm not a writer. I'm an author. And so people always talk about journaling. I can't journal either because my thoughts are going 1,000 miles a minute and my pen can't keep up and I get frustrated. But when I found that I could record myself and just kind of riff, just kind of start talking, and you pick out all the things. And I thought, writing a book is easy. I could write a lot of books if I could do it this way. So finding the time wasn't hard. I think just realizing that I could write the book the way that fits me as a person was really huge for me.
Yeah. And I started writing my book that way. When I would go for a speed walk outside, I would, just talk like the first chapter through. But as Adam mentioned, it was just a wonderful opportunity to have that writer's workshop, the intensive. And so that allotted us the time. The other thing, though, that I found that was so helpful for me was I had the chapters lined up before I started. And so I knew what I was going to say. I just had to get it out. So for me, it was, a treeing of my book, so to speak, where, oh, that's a chapter. Okay, I know what I'm going to talk about for that. So that was a great process. Both of those things, having the intensive and treeing the chapters, helped me.
Thank you for that question, Donna. Probably don't even know all those answers, but everybody either. So we have had some intense conversation tonight. This has been very fun. And I'm trying to figure out, I don't know, we have 2 minutes left before we can to wrap this up. So trying to think if we can get a question in that we can all fire away real quick.
I have a question quick.
Good.
I do. So we all started at 0. What do you do to remind yourself of your real progress?
I have a picture of my first website and what the front page looked like and what the message was on it. And I save it on my computer. And when I really feel down, I bring it up and look at it and go, oh, I'm way better than that now.
I have a stone. It's a heart-shaped stone that I got myself after I wrote my book. And it sits right here on my desk because for me, I don't know why I'm not harping on the book thing, but it was like I was so happy when I had it done. And there's also the evidence file that we have all been asked to continue to collect things from all the things that we do so that we don't forget what we've accomplished. And I think that for me, the combo of the two of those are very helpful.
I was going to also say, Donna, the evidence file that I have created is definitely a great reminder of my progress. And also, similar to Denise, I have some things on my wall from when I just started out, and I look at them, and then I look at where things are at with my entertainment platform and all the other things, and I can sit back and really see how I have progressed and grown, and that's how I figure it out.
I have a clothesline picture holder that's on my wall with there's sticky notes, but not pictures, but of the first 5 things I accomplished in the entrepreneurial journey adventure. And I haven't even been able to add to it because it's only 5 spots on it, but they're like the big monumental things that I was able to accomplish just like in the first 6 months. So that's what I keep hanging around me to remind me that where I'm headed. Kat?
I think all of the things that you guys said, but also you know how you struggle, maybe you're starting your email list, or maybe you're starting your blog, and how hard that was. And now it's like email done, blog done, podcast done. And then you're like, wait, did I do anything today? So I think it's important to understand where you came from so you can appreciate where you are right now.
Well, thank you guys so much for all of your questions and your answers for this whole entire summit. I think it is time to get our MCs up here so they can wrap us up for the night. Thank you again, guys. Kim, you're on
you're
mute.
talking on mute.
I'm always on mute.
So cute on mute.
Cute on mute. We're coming in hot though, y'all, because you all have had some pretty amazing conversations tonight. And I'm going to have Yvonne start with some of her notes, if she will. And then I'm going to change the layout while we're sitting here. So you all put on your 5-point harnesses and hold on a minute. But Yvonne, you can go ahead and start talking. It won't matter.
All right. Wow, you guys, again, another page of notes here. And I love that you asked the question, how do you make the time to write the book, Donna? I think especially because I think for all of us, pretty much in this group, I don't think anybody really thought they were ever going to write a book. I know I didn't. And I love that Kat and Donna both pointed out that there was a lot of walking and talking going on to get that book out into the world, because there's more than one way to do things. You know, I think a lot of people would think that they really need to sit down, buckle down and write or journal or get that there's got to be one way to do it. And I think what I'm hearing from all of you, in not just about the book, but that you have to find your way into how to get things done, how to set your boundaries. You guys talked about boundaries, you know. And something else that came up that Denise said that was echoed by Kat, I didn't want to give my energy and talent to somebody else's business. I think that was talking about whether or not you would do it over again. And Kat said that, you know, the other business has no if you're working for somebody else, they really don't have any loyalty to you as an employee. And that is certainly one of the things that launched me down the entrepreneurial path, was realizing how expendable I was as an employee. So, you know, there's the challenges of setting boundaries and managing your time. And I mean, but that's what we get to do. We get to do that. We get to make decisions and then follow through them and hit a wall and go, well, that didn't work. How can I get around that wall next? So, Miss Kim, what are your thoughts?
Well, I want to point out one thing that's kind of fun is I've made an entire business out of helping you build your business. Like, I think that that's a different thing whenever you're being taken advantage of or you're not being treated fairly. But around here, we really believe differently. We do believe in building teams and in training and doing all the things that go into helping others. And so I want everyone listening to have the right takeaway even from that. Is Denise Millay, you might have said you didn't want to build someone else's dream, but you build someone's dream constantly with what you do to help them with their SEO. So I just want to reframe that a little bit, because I don't want anyone to misunderstand that it's important. Kat, you help all of us stay healthy so that we can have a business. We can enjoy a business whenever we're healthy instead of, suffering through. Honestly, I've had days where I've suffered through too long of days. So I think you do wonders for us. And I think each one of you brings something to the table to help others. So I just want to clarify that little thought there. Yvonne, I think we should go around and give each person a minute to do their final thoughts before we wrap up. We're going to do it one at a time because Yvonne and I are going to talk about you after you're done. But I think we ought to go backwards around the we'll call it a room. It's not a room, around the stage. Donna, I think you should go first.
Do you now? Well, Kim, I thoroughly enjoyed the summit. I enjoyed the red carpet conversation that we had prior to today. I think that everybody's answers were so filled with honesty and transparency and the truth, everybody's truth. And I had a grand old time. Just saying.
Thank you, Donna. I will say that's a great thing for you to end what your final thoughts were, because we think we have a grand old time with you every time we come to your big show and tell. You are such a fun edutainment variety show all by yourself and all your characters. Let's just say that.
Who knew that branded products could be so fun? I mean, when Donna shows up in a costume for her big show and tell, I'm just like, ooh, now it's like, ooh, what's she going to wear? What's she going to do? So much thought goes into everything that she does around being a givologist. Her backgrounds, her costumes, and the products that she brings forward to show, it's Donna, you've made me think about how to give to the people, how to give back really to the people that I appreciate, who are my clients or who are in this world, this entrepreneurial world with me. And I thank you for that. If anybody wants to get in touch with Donna or learn more about what it is to be a givologist, you can head over to her YouTube channel, which is Donna Bender Giving. And the big show and tell is the last Tuesday of every month, I think. Is that right? Yeah.
It is at 1 p.m. Central. So perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Yvonne. You did a good job.
Thank you.
What about Denise Millay? I think we should let Denise have some final thoughts.
Oh, I love spending time with you all online. I love that we are comfortable enough with each other to share what we really feel. And because we do things differently here, we have integrity and we believe in transparency. As Donna said, we want everyone to know what's going on behind the scenes, because we don't want to be those people that put up a face, that fake it till we make it. And we're actually building and working towards a goal, and you got to see it all to know we're real people. So I appreciate all of you real people sitting on the stage with me, and thank you for doing this.
I just said, who knew branded products could be so much fun? Well, who knew that getting your messaging right and being findable, all the work that we do to make this stuff happen, which you guys have all been talking about tonight. Denise has taught all of us, I think, impacted all of our businesses as the findability queen in teaching us how to think like the people we're trying to serve and reach, and how to incorporate that into our messaging so that when they go look for something, they find us as a solution. So if anybody wants more information about how to be findable, how to work with SEO in a way that is not opaque and, talk that's way over your head, you need to go check out Denise's YouTube channel. She's there at the Findability Queen. Did I get that? Did I get that right? Yep. And you definitely need to go look there for the nuggets that she leaves in small doses that are very manageable and easy to digest.
At Findability Queen. Not the. I had to correct myself just now because I think I told you wrong earlier, Yvonne. It's at Findability Queen. So there you
Perfect.
go. Well, Adam, would you like to give your final thought?
My final thoughts are this was a great summit, and I hope that you watching was able to take away something for your business, or if you're thinking about entrepreneurship, I hope you got inspired by everything we talked about what happens behind the scenes and what you may not be seeing from our social media. So I just hope you got real value from tonight. And I just want to say, if we're talking about truth and everything, I just want to show everybody I am really wearing my pajama bottoms and socks. So that is the truth, and I was not lying about it.
Wait, can I say you heard that at the Fierce Entrepreneur Summit?
And if anybody would like to know more about what goes on behind the scenes in the entertainment world, you need to go check out Adam's entertainment platform, Call Me Adam. And by the way, let me just mention how interwoven all this is. Denise has helped Adam to attract, I'm going to think, close to 2 million visitors to his platform at this point. And it's proof of what he's doing, the way he hosts interviews that are a little bit different than what you're going to get elsewhere. So that is certainly there, but it's also been affected by how Denise has taught him to do things on his platform and how to connect with people who want to be in the know when it comes to the entertainment industry. So amazing.
CallMeAdam.com.
CallMeAdam.com.
There we go. We needed Yvonne to do it. All right, Kat Cortado, you want to give us your final thoughts?
Yes, ma'am. I think, I always love doing these summits. I never thought that I would be on camera this much in business. And I'm actually liking it, to be honest. It's great to be with like-minded people, but also we are people, but we're also friends, but we're family too. We help each other. And these summits reiterate to me why I started in business and why I continue to be in business, even when life intervenes, and it will. But when you have people around you that support you and help you in ways that you can't even imagine, that takes such a weight off of you that you feel like that you can do what you need to do and then come back and your business is right there. So thank you to all of you for being here tonight and for the great conversation, but also for lifting all of us up when we need it.
I can so relate to that. I never thought I'd be on camera so much thing. Just about died when you said that. And another thing that has come out of this community is that Kat and I are on camera together as Salty Sisters, as our own live stream program that we do once a month. But Kat is a movement specialist. The phrase that we all get from Kat is keep it moving. And as an older entrepreneur, I'm just going to say it's one of the things that helps me keep going. I've got Kat's voice in the back of my head. She's got her small space Pilates platform that is there for you to join with a no perfection policy. If you need to get your body moving, which is only going to support your entrepreneurship journey, if you can keep it all moving, you got to go check out Kat. And she even gives a free week. So that's smallspacepilates.com. You got to go check her out there.
I want to add just really quickly because I think it's important to understand Kat's logo has a life preserver in it. And I think she's thrown that life preserver out to so many of us that is why it's affectionately called the Yacht Club. So I feel very compelled to make that clearer so that everybody understands the life, the life preserver couch thrown out to us. So if you don't take a life preserver and take a free week, I think you're crazy. Anyway. So, Jillo, what is your final thoughts for tonight?
Well, I think I learned a little bit more about everyone on stage today. And I recognize that sometimes I forget that everyone else is human too. And that I'm not the only one that struggles in entrepreneurship and that finds certain things challenging. And I might know some things that go on with each of you guys from being aware of things, but I don't know what it's like behind the scenes for you guys. So I am extremely appreciative to not just tonight's summit, but every summit that we've all done together, because it's just another glimpse into you as a human. And I think that is really important for others to see as well, to recognize that they can do something like this as well.
Yeah. Jill, I still want to be you when I grow up. I'm always going to say that. When I look at what you've been able to do while you have a young child that you are raising, and there you are, at the forefront of My Sexy Business, helping this community stay on track and doing Mama Outspoken, helping mothers like yourself who might be struggling with that mama journey, which is no joke. It's hard. I never even considered going into entrepreneurship when I had littles. And I wish I had you when I was in your shoes. So if anybody is a mom who is looking into entrepreneurship, or just if you know a mom and who might be struggling, who might need a little bit of help, Jill is a solution. I don't know where I'm pointing that it's going to actually point at her on this screen, but Jill is a solution, and you need to check out her village. And it is Mama Outspoken, right? And she's got a podcast with her husband. That is the name of the podcast. And there's a whole lot of honest talk going on there that, again, like tonight, I think when you hear that people actually do struggle behind the scenes, it lets you know that you're not alone and that there is hope and that you can get through to the other side.
Well said, Yvonne Marchese. Yvonne, I want to know what your final thoughts are for tonight.
Oh my goodness, I got all of it clipped. So now you're going to ask me my final thoughts. I think those are my final thoughts. Find yourself community, people who are in the ring, who are also doing this, because the other people in your life are not going to get it if they aren't doing it. Don't take advice from anybody who isn't in the ring swinging away at it, and surround yourself with inspiring examples. I look around this room at all these faces, and every single person in this room has inspired me.
Thank you, Yvonne, for saying that. I just want to close this out with you, sweet watcher. If you didn't take away encouragement and inspiration tonight, then watch it again, because it's here. And there were so many takeaways that you may have to watch it 20 times. Seriously, you may have to watch it several times to get all the things out of it. But this was a great summit. Thank you all for letting me ulterior motive you. And thank you for practicing and showing up and doing amazing things for this world. So those are my final thoughts. And if we can just tell everybody how much we love them. And then I am thinking Adam is going to push a button. So love y'all.